Today is October 15th, 2023. And I'm walking in front or behind a detour sign that have been up for a long time. Citizens complain about there's nothing further back up the road to show that there's a detour sign down here. Once you get down here, it has very little direction in terms of how to get around this detour. So I came back here today because Mayor Scott James Matheson said that he disagreed with me for doing what was right in this community and been doing it for a long time and reporting what others ignore. So I came to take pictures and to show you what those senior citizens were talking about at the last city council meeting on October 5th, 2023. This is the old Lake Park Road. This is what those taxpayers and citizens was talking about before Mayor Scott James Matheson and each city council member. This is what they were talking about.
That portion of the evening, we're going to move on to the citizens to be heard portion. We ask that you come forward and state your name and address so we can have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so that others have time to be heard, and please direct all comments of council as a whole. Not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It's our policy to follow through with you on your concern almost immediately. We ask any groups that want to address the council to designate one spokesperson, so again, to ensure that all have time to be heard. Having said that,
she has a problem here. Here for her.
all right, our first citizen.
Good evening, my name is Velma Sykes, and I live in District 1, and on July 10th, we got a notice that the bridge on Lake Park Road will be taken out starting the 10th of July and completed by the 13th of August, if weather permitted. Well, on July 10th, they tore up the bridge. We didn't see anybody for another 2 weeks. Then there was a big crane there, stayed there about 30 minutes. Then we didn't see anybody yet. They would come down there and stay an hour or less and go back. And I asked you, how much time you think they spent down there? Not even a day. I go down there and watch it. My driveway is 126 steps to the road. I go down there 3 or 4 times a day, check it to see if they're working. If I can't see that well, I get in my car and go around on the other side. They have not done anything. I've been there 54 years and I have a vested interest in this neighborhood. And I'd like for somebody to tell us when they plan to complete this, even though this could be considered a contract that ended the 13th, and I'm sure that you have a contract, and Roundtree is not doing their job. And we are sick and tired of them giving us excuse after excuse. When you call up, they can't measure the pipe right, or the weather. They weren't coming there before the weather. Now, we're not talking about the Brooklyn Bridge here. We're talking about a 2-lane road. And we don't understand why they can't get this done. We'd like somebody to tell us what is going on and when they plan to finish that bridge. We have to go this way, that way, go from your house, you have to leave from 15, 20 minutes to get where you want to go. And then when you get there, you're dizzy because you've been driving here. It's so disrespectful for that neighborhood. We keep our neighborhood clean, we keep crime down, and we deserve better from the city.
Ms. Sykes, if you'll hang around after the meeting, I'll let people approach
Can I say something, sir, about 2 minutes? It won't take but a minute.
Hey,
Okay, it's fine.
sure, reset, do it up.
Okay. They told us it's gonna be ready by the 15th, school start. I go down there and talk to them, everybody might work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they never work Mondays and Fridays, after they got the bridge torn up. And it's been going on now, one of the fellows that was supposed to be here tonight, he said, well, it might be December when we finish. I said, what? No, none of y'all knew about the bridges out? I mean, I've been living there, not as long as she has, but I've been there since '77. That's my two.
We'll approach you after. Thank you. And sorry.
Yes, once again, this is what it is. In fact, let me do better than this. It's not good enough. This is along the old Lake Park Road. This is it. This is what the citizens were speaking of on October 5th, 2023. How long they had been working on this bridge. And the citizen talked about how they are not concerned about it. And they was very direct to the mayor and the council about it. Mayor Scott James Matheson, after they took their seats and then they decided to leave the council chambers, I was recording with the Get To Free Press as I normally do. I said, wait a minute. Let me get up from here and go get those people to try to get them back in here. To make a long story short, I did that.
Citizens wishing to be heard at this time. And thank you, George.
George Boston Ryan, 5604 Drive, Georgia. I have some items I want to address, but the couple that just stood before you, they didn't think that sticking around was serving a purpose. And I figured they was leaving, so I caught them. They came back and they wanted to talk to you. And I want to say this juncture, just to hate what I got here. This is why sometimes we make policies at council meetings and board of commissioner meetings, and it's not so conducive to the citizens. Now, there are other people, I'm sure, that have the same problem with that as they do. And I go across the state of Georgia, 18 cities. And when a citizen stands to talk, as I'm talking now, the local newspapers in most all of those cities take citizens to be heard issues and they publish them in the paper. What does that mean? That means the people that live in that city know the problems that other citizens are having. So it broadens the respect of our government. It proves that Georgia is an open government. And so I would love, I know you all can't go against your child when you're orders because you already made it. You can't respond to her. But just imagine how many other people feel just like this couple or here. But they won't get to hear per se the problem because it wasn't done publicly. And that's why I wish that somebody could be elected on city council that will understand that citizens want to be listened to when they bring a complaint up like these elderly couples here. Now, as I said, I go to 18 cities all across the state. And I'm controversial, but I've got some things done. And that just food for thought. I'm sitting here, I'm listening, I said, now these are elderly people, and they going home. I caught them in the elevator, and I'm trying to convince them to come back, Mr. Mayor, because I know you will talk to them, because I've seen them. And so I want to catch them. And to hate what I got here, I hope I serve some type of person. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Mr. Rhines. I would directly dispute Mr. Rhines. One of my favorite things over the last 4 years is immediately following each council meeting, but thank you for going to retrieve that couple, because my favorite thing is to watch good government in action and a responsive government. And see our department heads and our city manager and our assistant city manager go directly to those complainants and that process of the citizens be heard and speak directly to them about that problem. That problem can't always be solved, but they're getting a direct response, an immediate response. I'll see it in the parking lot, but most of the time I see them right here, getting that face-to-face time. So that is something that has been just one of my favorites for 4 years. Second is a letter.
I'm not going to put much in this clip, but the next video will show many other citizens to be heard that gave presentations at various council meetings. And I show some of the most current ones in that video that's coming up next. But I may add a few old video clips for this video to show that this ignoring citizens and arresting citizens, cutting citizens off as they are trying to wrap up their comments on very important issues. It started, man, who knows how long ago, when they just treat voters and citizens as if they are of no value. They speak to them like they're not a part of the community. They talk to citizens as if though they don't pay taxes, as if they don't have a right to be heard by the people they vote into office.
Are there any other citizens to be heard at this time?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Pastor G.B.R. Neal, pastor of Christ Gospel Missionary Baptist Church, 1402 East Hill Avenue, president of NAACP. I saw the need of the people. I decided to stay and fight. And I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to be watching. We do have oversight committees. John Ossoff and his team is working with us specifically to make sure these monies go where they are. Biden and John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock specifically spoke of how they undercut, well, they didn't undercut, they circumvented the middleman. So the money can come from the federal government directly to the city governments. But that's where the problem occurs. Because in the 16 years I've been here, monies have come down to help the underserved, and it just sits there. And it either disappears or somehow magically is reallocated somewhere else to be used somewhere else. I've seen monies that were set aside as I go and read these budgets that were set aside in underserved communities just to fix the roads. And then we look up, may I have just maybe a minute or so?
You have the additional minute that they offer.
Then I see that these monies were collectively pushed towards Woodrow Wilson. You ride through town and there's a bump. In the 16 years I've been here, I can tell you what every bump is in impoverished neighborhoods. Nothing gets done. This is an opportunity now where I heard the word inclusion used tonight. We're all Valdostans. This money here is now set aside to bring people who never ever seem to get looked at up to speed. Bringing folks that don't ever get the funding they need will help boost this economy, generate money for it, so we can all survive. If we were like India right now, India is in a situation where COVID hit them so bad that 10,000 people died in one day. They don't even have room to put people in hospitals. They're keeping them in ambulances and bodies are stacked up outside. Can we say that it won't happen to Valdosta? And guess what? It wouldn't matter your color. If that happened to us, one day we're going to be put in a situation where I'm going to have to serve you, you're going to have to serve me, and color, race, creed, nationality ain't going to matter. It's just the love of God. That money now.
Time's up. We're here loud and clear, which time's up.
Well, let me ask a question.
Time's up.
My time's up, but I have a question.
We'll follow up with you after the meeting.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you're a very hard person to follow. That's the reason why we filed a complaint against you, because we keep asking to speak to you. I don't have faith that you will talk to me. You are the mayor of Valdosta, and we filed a complaint against you because we keep asking to talk to you and you ignore us. So I find it hard to believe that you will speak to us.
Please sit down.
I want to put you on notice that I'm going to speak
Look,
civilly.
whatever you want,
I'm
please
going
sit
to
down.
speak civilly for the things that you, the state
Your seat to be removed.
the committee you selected, that exonerated you, I'm going to see you civilly. You stated that you said that I paid people to vote, and I didn't. And I'm angry. Very angry.
Any other citizens wishing to be heard this time? You get an extra minute.
So all these other people can just talk until they're done, and we can't. Aren't we citizens of Valdosta?
We'll now move on to the city manager's report. Mark Barber. Please issue the city manager's report.
Thank you.
Mr. Rhines, I would directly dispute Mr. Rhines. One of my favorite things over the last 4 years is immediately following each council meeting, but thank you for going to retreat that couple. Because my favorite thing is to watch good government in action and a responsive government, and see our department heads and our city manager and our assistant city manager go directly to those complainants, and that process of the citizens be heard and speak directly to them about that problem. That problem can't always be solved, but they're getting a direct response, an immediate response. I'll see it in the parking lot, but most of the time I see them right here, getting that face-to-face time. So that is something that has been just one of my favorites for 4 years. The second is a letter.
My name is Floyd Rose, and my current address is 411 Orange Street here in Valdosta. Back in July, I believe it was, this past summer, we appeared before this council and asked you to rename Forest Street, that's currently named after Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. And we asked that it be renamed after Barack Obama. That was almost 6 months ago. I received a call from the city manager, and I met with him and with you, Mr. Mayor, in his office. And I was told then that whatever we did, it didn't matter because it would be up to the city council. We have heard nothing since then. I have not. Now, I just want to know what y'all want to do. If you're going to vote on it, just vote on it. If you vote no, then vote no. If you're going to vote yes, vote yes. But tell us something. Just don't let us be hanging like this.
Reverend Rose, we have a process that y'all have not gone through.
Yes, we did.
No,
No.
You
Yes,
never
we
came
did.
up with the number of
You
names.
changed the rules.
We didn't change anything.
Yes, you did.
So
We did.
unless that
Everything-
process
sir.
has gone through, we have no reason to vote.
We did everything the city charter asked us to do. You changed the rules. Don't say you did it because you did. I know you did it. You know you did.
No, sir, we didn't. I'm one of these that's fair to everybody. We didn't change any rules, I assure you of that.
But what happened?
Y'all didn't present enough names. You didn't have the 30-something. You had to have 171 names. You didn't present
We
anything
did
like that.
everything we were asked to do, and you changed the rules. Don't say you didn't. You did.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
I know you did. And the city manager told me that it didn't matter what we did anyway because it would be up to the city council. And Valdosta, Georgia is the only place I know in this country that has a problem doing that. They've done it in Florida, and they've done it in northern Georgia, they've done it in Chicago, they've done it everywhere but South Georgia. And I don't understand that.
We have a process that you're required to go through, I'm sure, and we
I'm not
have
doing
not
it.
changed that process in
Why-
any other situation.
Why
Every
don't
one
you,
we've
why don't
changed,
you remember
we've
the
done
council?
that. So
I'm not gonna do anything.
when we, well,
Because this is the only place I know where every position of power is held by white folk. Every one of them. The mayor's white, the city manager's white, the sheriff is white. Everybody that's in any position of power that makes decisions is white. And this city is 51% black. That wouldn't happen anywhere else in this country.
we've got a majority of black people on
51%.
this council. On this council.
That's right.
We have probably a majority of department heads in this city.
They don't make decisions.
Oh, yes, they do.
Listen, I know that.
I'm sorry, your time's up. 3 minutes is up.
Let me tell you.
No, sir, your
Call
time's
the
up.
police, do whatever you want.
You know, we've been through this
When I get
before.
finished.
I hate to have you removed, but your
Well,
time is
you
up.
can do that. Have me removed. Send me to jail. That's fine with me.
I'm not gonna send you to jail, we just usher you outside.
You can send me to jail. I don't mind. You won't put me in jail, will you? You all gonna do what what you're supposed to do, period.
Are there any other citizens to be heard at this time?
You all gonna do what you're supposed to do, period.
Are there any other citizens to be heard at this time? Are there any other citizens to be heard at this time?
I had something I was going to say, but I think I'm going to put y'all up to the back burner. Reverend Floyd Rose is 80 years old, and my heart goes out to him. You may have done everything you're supposed to do, but one thing I know as a human being, there's another thing I know as a black man. We call hell in this country. And a lot of us just don't think we're going to never get no justice here in terms of lines of equality and justice. There are people on that council sitting with you all, you know, who feel the same way I do. They may never say it, but I'm sure heaven going to say it. And so you may think that these issues are small, but they are major, Mr. Mayor and Council. And I've said it to you all many times before. We can act as if though racism does not live here, but I think it made its home here. And I got a historical fact that I can back it up. I got white people who tell me behind the curtain, they know what's going on. And I would go as far as say I got documents as white folks did me. I'm hoping that one day that Valdosta will change from the way she is today. All the work that I've done since I've been here retired, it is a disgrace how public and overt racism is in Valdosta. People know it, but people don't say it. I have been fighting for 2 or 3 years. I go across the state of Georgia. Do you all know, Mayor, that 27th will be Memorial Day? Do you all know that?
Yes.
And do you know that there is not a Georgia flag out here in City Hall that's flying? It's disrespectful for the people that moved the Air Force Base and for every veteran that ever served, including me, and the parents who had children to die. That is not a flag on the Red Center over there. There's not a flag on the annex here. There's not a flag on the courthouse. There's not a flag on the museum. There's not a flag in the VA base over there. That isn't by accident. I may not be a rocket scientist, but I'm a rocket chair operator. And I know why you don't fly. I know why you don't fly. And you're not by yourself. Because I got other cities who don't fly. And I got some cities that fly. I'm working on a video now. And when you see it, I'm saying I hope one day that Valdosta take in some citizens that are more diverse and that respect the veterans and the people that move the Air Force Base, including the squadron commanders who ain't saying nothing about it. Y'all excuse me praising my voice, but that's the way it is.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other citizens to be heard at this time?
That portion of the evening, we're going to move on to the citizens to be heard portion. We ask that you come forward and state your name and address so we can have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so that others have time to be heard, and please direct all comments to council as a whole. Not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It's our policy to follow through with you on your concern almost immediately.
Funding, that's what I'm asking you to do. I want you to change the name. Keep Valdosta beautiful, not keep Valdosta. Valdosta is not funded. Keep Valdosta beautiful. I don't want you to look at funding. I want you to fund it. You can do it. You can look at your budget. I don't work for budget, but I'm never looking through it. I don't work for budget. You have to. I won't follow the budget and see how you spend the money. I've never done that, but I
That was an impassioned plea. I'm gonna allow another 3 minutes on that same subject if somebody wanted to come up and speak as such. Other citizens be heard.
Mr. Mayor, Council, George Boston, 95004 Oak Drive, Valdosta, Georgia. Our citizen was arrested in the process of getting Bible Park name. But make a long story short, my time out there, we got a bad situation here, y'all. And the news media is part of the problem. Now, Mr. Mayor and Council, and other councilmen, I know one more time. Out of courtesy, allow me to name, please.
George.
When you all, I noticed that lady is 90-some years old, and I commend her. But it's never watch what you're doing. Better watch it. You see, when you...
George, please.
Please, what?
Time's up.
A big part.
Time's up. We'll see you next council meeting. Thank you.
You gave her more than 3 minutes, though, council. You on the council, got to take notice of that.
Thank you, George. Any other citizens be heard at this
Be
time?
mad at what you're doing, Mayor. When you all, I noticed that lady is 90-some years old, and I commend her. But it's never watch what you're doing. Better watch it. You see, when you...
George, please.
Please, what?
Time's up.
A big part.
Time's up. We'll see you next council meeting. Thank you.
You gave her more than 3 minutes, though, council. You on the council, got to take notice of that.
Thank you, George. Any other citizens be heard at this
Be
time?
mad at what you're doing, Mayor.
So I'm gonna leave it up to George. George is wanting the same time as a 98-year-old woman. George, if you want an additional 2 minutes, I'll invite you back up. If you want to bow, and I'll,
Mr. Mayor, I'm a man of peace and harmony, and peace and harmony being strength in all institutions. I just reminded the council that I go in a lot of cities, and I've seen people get paid $45,000 for this. That's all I'm doing. I don't need time. Go ahead.
thank you, George.
Thank you.
Dispute Mr. Rhines. I would directly dispute Mr. Rhines. One of my favorite things over the last 4 years is immediately following each council meeting, but thank you for going to retrieve that couple. Because my favorite thing is to watch good government in action and a responsive government. And see our department heads and our city manager and our assistant city manager go directly to those complainants and that process of the citizens be heard and speak directly to them about that problem. That problem can't always be solved, but they're getting a direct response, an immediate response. I'll see it in the parking lot, but most of the time I see them right here, getting that face-to-face time. So that is something that has been just one of my favorites for 4 years. Second is a letter.
Now, you can condemn me for what I'm saying. When Scott Matheson made the statement about me and him disagreeing with me and how he always get back with people, well, you're going to see in the next video in detail, not old videos where people have disagreed with the mayor and elected officials. I'm not talking about necessarily Scott Matheson. I'm talking about other mayors and other city councilmen. Yeah, I mean black ones too. We have blacks that sit on council and just sit and say nothing. And personally, a lot of these incumbent black people, the voters need to vote them out of office. No, wait a minute. Not just the city elected officials, but also the county, state representatives, including Warnock and Ossoff. They should be voted out as well, because I have brought this up to them and they sat, said, and did nothing. And so we the people have better start going to our public meetings and ask them, why do you ignore the taxpayers and people? that address city council, and they just push us off and don't even address the issues. Over on North Holly Street, that young lady have been addressing city council for about 7 years. Mr. Scott James Matheson.
Dispute Mr. Rhines. I would directly dispute Mr. Rhines. One of my favorite things over the last 4 years is immediately following each council meeting, but thank you for going to retrieve that couple, because my favorite thing is to watch good government in action and a responsive government, and see our department heads and our city manager and our assistant city manager go directly to those complainants and that process of the citizens be heard and speak directly to them about that problem. That problem can't always be solved, but they're getting a direct response, an immediate response. I'll see it in the parking lot, but most of the time I see them right here, getting that face-to-face time. So that is something that has been just one of my favorites for 4 years. Second is a letter.
Good evening. My name is Grace Bacon. I live at 708 Holly Drive. And I have complained about the situation on Holly Drive. I met with Mr. G.B.R. and I met with Ms. Cody. And the people over here knows me also. So Mr. G.B.R. came to my house. And I have talked over the situation on Holly Drive. I don't want anybody to say move off Holly Drive. I just don't like the behavior. My property value has dropped $10,000. I got my tax statement the other day, and I looked at that, and that hurt me so bad. Because even though you have to pay more money, but more land you have, I'd rather pay the money, the taxes, than lose the value. I lost the value. You know, I used to pay $1,000-some taxes. I'm paying $770 something taxes. Because I've lost value. And I wish that when we lived in a house, that when people came into our neighborhood, they would just look at our house and say, oh, that's a nice house, I would like to buy in this neighborhood. But that's not the way it works for people. Real estate says everything around you counts. And if you saw one house messes up, it's just like every house on that street is messed up. Now, I'm not a real estate manager or anything like that. There's just a lot of common sense to me. That you don't keep up your property, you're gonna lose value. And I heard Mr. Howard say the other day that he can take these people into neighborhoods and say, why don't you all build your businesses here or down here? Well, they don't build their businesses because they're looking at the neighborhood. And that's just common sense, because if I owned a business, I wouldn't build it on Holly Drive. Because if you look around you and saw that the property value is dropping, you would think about it too. I mean, that's just common sense to me. That's just business. That's just everyday business. Everybody who owns a business understands that. And I'm sure that all this town here, you all know that everybody looks at what's around them. Now, Mr. Barber, I didn't know about you. I didn't know you were the city manager. And I hadn't been talking to everybody else but you. And I just want to say, when you came down, you got started. And I appreciate that. I mean, you were respectful and everything. But this has been going on for many, many years. Or as anybody who can know, all I want to do is clean up, get that neighborhood to what it was 30 years ago when it was so beautiful. That's why I bought, because it was so beautiful. It's not beautiful anymore. And if you know anything about, I own my home, I pay for it. When you pay for something, you just want to just keep it up, that's all. But boy, if you want to hurt anybody, I don't want to do that.
Thank you.
And I don't know what he said to him, but I could see him, but I couldn't hear him. All I know is I paid for it that night. Whatever he said to him, I'm the one that paid for it. But I had to stay up all night. Because he decided at that time, between 12 and 3 o'clock in the morning, to move all of those cars from one side of the street to another on the flatbed. And you can imagine what that thing was like, how loud it was trying to move those cars. Not only the moving of those cars, but all the lights. Now, you usually see a lot of lights when the police are down there. Well, I promise you, he had more lights than any police officer ever had. Because they would light up my whole house. And so you all don't need to sit here and say, we can't look in the backyard. You can't say you didn't know. You can say, I don't care. Because this is a black neighborhood. But you all, if we don't pay our taxes, you're the first one to send us a notice. And a friend of mine got a letter from the city, and she had one car in the yard, and she had to move that car by March 12th, or pay $1,000. This person has 40 or 50 or 100 cars. Do you charge him $1,000 per car like you did her? She had to move that car by March the 12th. Now, like I told you, the city marshal was down there on May 3rd. And if you know what May the 3rd is, the 3rd of any month for people, May the 3rd is payday. For a lot of people, that's payday. So we done had city marshals down there the 3rd and 4th. We done got none today. Because you can see it from my house. So a lot more going on than you all know about.
Thank you, Ms. Becky. Are there any other dispute, Mr. Rhines? I would directly dispute Mr. Rhines. One of my favorite things over the last 4 years is immediately following each council meeting, but thank you for going to retrieve that couple. Because my favorite thing is to watch good government in action and a responsive government, and see our department heads and our city manager and our assistant city manager go directly to those complainants and that process of the citizens be heard and speak directly to them about that problem. That problem can't always be solved, but they're getting a direct response, an immediate response. I'll see it in the parking lot, but most of the time I see it right here, getting that face-to-face time. So that is something that has been just one of my favorites for 4 years. Second is a letter.
As I close, I want to say this to you all. You all haven't seen or heard where I just downed the mayor or criticize him, speak negative of him. I don't have to do that. I learned many years ago that truth needs no defense. So the next video you hear and watch, you won't hear me criticizing the mayor. But what I am doing in that next video is that I'm showing you how our elected officials mistreat you and see, apparently you don't give a damn. I am a retired military veteran, and I served during the Vietnam War era. I know y'all say this is a small issue, but if you check my channel out, Boston G.B.R. on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, blogger.com, and across the web, you see where I've been doing this for decades, starting back in 1975. And I'm no ways tired of standing up for you, even if you won't stand up for yourself. So I want to say to the mayor, you keep talking. I'm going to keep using the camera, and I'm going to keep allowing the people to speak so the truth may be told, so the lies can be exposed.
That portion of the evening, we're going to move on to the citizens to be heard portion. We ask that you come forward and state your name and address so we can have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so that others have time to be heard, and please direct all comments of council as a whole. Not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It's our policy to follow through with you on your concern almost immediately.
Good evening, my name is Velma Sykes, and I live in District 1, and on July 10th, we got a notice that the bridge on Lake Palm Road will be taken out starting the 10th of July and completed by the 13th of August, if weather permitted. Well, on July 10th, they tore up the bridge. We didn't see anybody for another 2 weeks. Then there was a big crane there, stayed there about 30 minutes. Then we didn't see anybody yet. They would come down there and stay an hour or less and go back. And I asked you, how much time you think they spent down there? Not even a day. I go down there and watch it. I live, my driveway is 126 steps to the road. I go down there 3 or 4 times a day, check it to see if they're working. If I can't see that well, I get in my car and go around on the other side. They have not done anything. I've been there 54 years and I have a vested interest in this neighborhood. And I'd like for somebody to tell us when they plan to complete this, even though this could be considered a contract that ended the 13th, and I'm sure that you have a contract, and Roundtree is not doing their job. And we are sick and tired of them giving us excuse after excuse. When you call up, they can't measure the pipe right, or the weather. They weren't coming there before the weather. Now, we're not talking about the Brooklyn Bridge here, we're talking about a 2-lane road. And we don't understand why they can't get this done. We'd like somebody to tell us what is going on and when they plan to finish that bridge. We have to go this way, that way, go from your house, you have to leave from 15, 20 minutes to get where you want to go. And then when you get there, you're dizzy because you've been driving here. It's so disrespectful for that neighborhood. We keep our neighborhood clean, we keep crime down, and we deserve better from the city.
Ms. Sykes, if you'll hang around after the meeting, I'll let people approach you about that.
Can I say something? So my 2 minutes, it won't take but a minute.
Hey,
Okay, that's fine.
sure, reset, hold on.
Okay. They told us it's gonna be ready by the 15th, school start. I go down and talk to them, everybody might work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they never work Mondays and Fridays, after they got the bridge torn up. And it's been going on now. One of the fellows that was supposed to be here tonight said, well, it might be in December when we finish. I'm like, what? Oh, none of y'all knew about the bridges out? I mean, I've been living there not as long as she has, but I've been there since '77. That's my two.
We'll approach you after. Thank you. And sorry.
Yo, if I had 100 sheep and one of them got away, I would leave the 99 and go find that one. That's right. Look from the locks and jaws.
Dispute Mr. Rhines. I would directly dispute Mr. Rhines. One of my favorite things over the last 4 years is immediately following each council meeting, but thank you for going to retrieve that couple, because my favorite thing is to watch good government in action and a responsive government and see our department heads.
Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation.
That's what they've been saying, you
Wait
see.
till the next generation.
There you'll find your identity.
Wait till the next generation.
We're gonna be ready to take a
Wait
stand
till the next generation.
and take control of the life that's in your hands. All along the road, freedom and democracy.
As I close, I want to say this to you all. You all haven't seen or heard where I just down the mayor or criticize him, speak negative of him. I don't have to do that. I learned many years ago that truth needs no defense. So the next
Apathy's gonna be hard to find. We're gonna select the things that go into our mind. We're gonna shape our own destiny and alter the face of history. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land. This I want you to understand. I don't wanna
generation, man.